Apparently, these little things can completely transform how your sim racing pedals feel. Today, I'm going to put that to the test. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I test out sim racing gear and give honest reviews to help you build the best setup for your budget. In this video, we're checking out the Simsonn VAM Pro rumble motors. I'll walk you through the setup, show you how they perform in game, and give my honest thoughts after some extensive testing. So let's get into it. So what exactly are they? The Simsonn VAM Pro rumble motors are small haptic modules that mount directly to your pedals. Their whole purpose is to give you tactile feedback based on what's happening on track. Things like ABS, wheel slip, and even gear shifts are some of the effects that they try to simulate. So instead of solely relying on your wheels force feedback, the idea is to add another point of haptic feedback in your setup through your feet, so you can tell when your tires are losing traction or when they're locking up. So Simsonn actually makes two models of these. You've got the standard VAM, and then you have this higher end VAM Pro. The base model VAM uses a rotary vibration motor, whereas the VAM Pro uses a linear motor, which is meant to be able to deliver sharper and more precise vibration. However, for now, I can only speak on the VAM Pros as I haven't tried out the standard VAM motors yet. So it all sounds very promising, but before we get into testing them in game, let's take a quick look at the installation process. So the installation process is pretty simple. If we take the clutch pedal as an example here, you just undo the faceplate. So take off that pedal plate completely for now. And in the box, they supply these slightly longer bolts. If I hold them side by side there, you might see the difference. They also supply these brackets for the mounting of the haptic reactors. So pedal plate on, put our bolt through, put the bracket on over the bolt, and then secure that in place with this little nut. Space is a little limited, so you can't kind of put the spanner on like that. You have to turn it in with the Allen key on the other side. At least that was the best way I found of doing it. And that's our pedal plate now secured on. And very simply then, we take our haptic reactor, place that against here, and line it up with the bolt holes on this and use the bolts provided to secure this in place. You'll also want to make sure your cable is coming through one of the cable routing spots and that's not caught anywhere. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how we mount the rumble motors. The process for the accelerator and the brake is pretty much the same, except the bracket is secured on using both of the bolts from the pedal plate rather than just one coming through from this side. So the brackets are done a little bit differently, but you won't struggle with that. The process is basically the same. And then you just mount the rumble motors to the brackets from the underside here. Okay, so if we have a look on the software side of things then, I've covered some of my thoughts on this software in a previous video, but because I didn't have the haptic motors connected yet, I didn't cover anything to do with the vibration section of the software, so we'll take a bit of a look at that now. So if I click into pedals here and into feedback setting, so first of all, there's 8 possible effects you can have enabled in the Simsonn Manager software. You've got speed, ABS, traction control, clutch, gear shift, wheel lock, wheel slip, and RPM effects. Now you can also run these rumble motors through SimHub rather than through the Simsonn Manager software. For the first few days of my testing, I did actually have to do that because the Simsonn Manager software wasn't remembering any of the parameters that I was putting in, and it wasn't adjusting them accordingly. So say if I set an effect at 80% strength or 20% strength, it was always just constantly putting it at 100 and it would never adjust. However, after having these for a few days, there was a firmware update released and that did fix the problem, and since then it's been running smoothly. But if not, you can run these using SimHub as well. But anyway, on the clutch pedal, I have just the gear shift effect enabled. There is a clutch effect, but I actually prefer the feeling of just the gear shift effect. It just gives a nice sort of definitive clunk when you change gears. Vibration duration is set for 88 milliseconds with that. And just for the purposes of this video, to demonstrate the effects a bit better, I've turned the strength of everything up to 80%, but I run all effects on these rumble motors anywhere between 20 and 30%. The vibration frequency then I have set for 10 Hz on the clutch pedal. On the brake, I just have ABS, which is pretty standard. It's the go-to effect for rumble motors on a brake pedal. The vibration frequency is 27 Hz on that. And then for the throttle pedal, I just have wheel slip enabled. I have the tire slip sensitivity set at 17, so pretty high sensitivity. And I have the vibration frequency set at 36 Hz on that. So I'll let you hear now what they sound like set at the different frequencies. So we'll start off the clutch pedal. If I hit this vibration button here, That's the clutch pedal. That's a nice deep rumbly effect there, as it's obviously set all the way down at 10 Hertz. The brake pedal then at 27 Hertz sounds like this. And the throttle pedal then sounds like this. So much higher frequency, a faster vibration there. But yeah, let's jump into a game and see how they perform on track. Okay, so I've just jumped into Assetto Corsa. I'm in a GT4 car. I never usually do any road racing. I pretty much only do drifting or rallying. But I thought this is probably the best environment to demonstrate the effects. So let's jump in anyway and see how it goes. So straight away, you should hear that gear shift effect, hopefully, which is a nice clunk all the way down the straight there. As I'm shifting up, you're getting that nice feedback. Anyway, so you should hear the ABS kick in. There we go, hard on the brakes. Purposely being too hard on the brakes there, but it means that you can hear that effect kicking in quite nicely and see what it does. So I'll do it again. And that is a nice effect. If you've ever been in a real car where ABS is kicked in, I do think you can definitely liken it to that. It certainly does a pretty good job of replicating it, and you can probably, you know, get it dialed in even more to your liking by adjusting some of the parameters. I'm still kind of fine tuning the effect strengths and frequencies that I like them at. But for now, I found it pretty enjoyable with the way I have it. It definitely adds a lot of immersion. But anyway, let's try and demonstrate this wheel slip effect quite nicely. To demonstrate that, I'm gonna jump into a drift car and you'll definitely hear it then. So unfortunately, I'm having to shift with my paddle shifters here, even though I'm drifting, because my handbrake and shifter currently aren't working. So if it looks a bit weird, it's not by choice, but there you go. Anyway, to demonstrate this wheel slip effect, I'm gonna kick it into a drift here. And there you go, you can hear that kicking in quite nicely, very strong. Stronger than I normally have it. And that's just lovely. That's so nice to get that feedback. That adds so much immersion. And then coupled with the nice gear shift effect and the ABS and everything, it really does add a lot to your driving experience. Yeah, every time I use these, it really does put a smile on my face. It really helps to bring it to the next level. Any sort of extra piece of... Oh, I need to watch what I'm doing. Okay. Yep. Any piece of extra immersion you can gain in a sim racing rig is always well appreciated in my opinion. Particularly if then it helps you kind of understand what's going on with the car more. You know, that's even more valuable because then you're going past immersion. You're going to the stage where you're probably going to gain consistency. But yeah, certainly using these is a ton of fun. But yeah, that's how these things perform on track. So let's talk about pricing. There are quite a few options to choose from when buying these rumble motors. With the VAM Pros, you can get a single unit that doesn't include a power supply. You can get a set of 2 for $115.90 with the power supply. Or you can get the set of 3 like what I have, also including the power supply for $157.90. All of this is just at current pricing, and obviously that could change at any time. But you can get a discount by using my affiliate code MPOWER, or by clicking the link that I'll leave in the description or as a top pinned comment. If you're looking to try just the standard Simsonn VAM rumble motors, you can get a 3-pack of them including the power supply for $69.90, which is considerably cheaper, but as I haven't tried them out just yet, I can't confidently recommend those. But at face value, it does seem like pretty good value for money. One thing to note is that if you do have an older set of Simsonn pedals that you're looking to mount these to and not one of their current models, you may have to upgrade your control box, which is around about $25. So just be sure to factor in that possible additional investment if you're considering picking these up. So should you buy the VAM Pro rumble motors? I think if you're someone who values added immersion on your rig, 100% yes. At the end of the day, the whole idea of sim racing is to try and simulate racing, and if you're going from a set of just vanilla pedals to all of a sudden adding these, I do think they add a decent degree of immersion. Will they make you faster? Probably not in my opinion, but of course I can't speak for everyone. But I definitely think they would go a long way towards making you more consistent, especially when you take into account things like ABS, so that you do actually get some genuine haptic feedback for when you're locking a wheel. Similarly with tire slip, you know, you can tell more easily if you've broken traction or not, you know, accelerating out of corners or whatever it may be. You know, I think most people are going to find the installation process pretty simple, and I think in terms of value for money, it's probably one of the best bang for buck upgrades you can get in sim racing. I think once you get these things properly dialed in and find some settings that you like, they really do add an extra layer of immersion, which I think is something we pretty much all look for when it comes to sim racing. The actual units themselves are very solid and they're made from aluminium, which may be another thing to consider if you're not sure which one to choose between these VAM Pros and the normal VAMs, as I believe the normal VAM are just made from a composite material, so these are likely to be more hard wearing. But anyway guys, that's it for this one. Please like and subscribe and let me know down in the comments if you've picked up some motors like these and what your thoughts are on them. And if you are going to pick these up or anything else from the Simsonn website, please consider using my affiliate code, as it really does help me out and will enable me to do more reviews like this one. But anyway, bye for now guys, and I'll see you in the next one.